Hello, everybody. This is Dennis O'Brien, your co-host of Let's Talk About It. We're the longest-running evening radio show on WILI by a long, long margin. And man, we're so good because we get great guests on this show, right, Susan Johnson?
Hey, that's right, my co-host Dennis O'Brien. I'm so glad, and boy, do we have a great guest tonight, right, Dennis?
We certainly do. We have our Chief of Police, Fabian Silva. He's taking time out from his busy schedule to be with us here at WILI, making his Let's Talk About It debut with Dennis and Susan. Welcome to the show, Chief.
Thank you, Dennis. Thank you for having me.
Great to have you. I have the pleasure. I'm a member of the Willimantic Taxing District Board of Directors. I was elected to that position, a year and a half ago. I served on that board for a few years when I was a town councilman, but it's different now. And the board is concentrating fully on public safety, on police and fire. And so we've learned a lot about police and fire. And one of the reasons that we have is we got great leaders of the police department and the fire department. We've had the chief on from the fire department, Ron Palmer, pretty recently, and now we've got Fabian Silva, the chief of police, on, and they're both new in their positions as chief. I know when I first got on the taxing district board, we had Paul Hussey as chief of police and Mark.
Paul Hussey.
Yes, as our fire chief, and we had a lot of changes. Plus, we had a new town manager, and Chief Silva, you've been on the police department for some time now. Let me just ask you this to start out with. Let's go back into history a little bit. What made you? When did you start to think about becoming a police officer?
Well, this is actually a good question. It was a long time ago. I think we grow with that. We grow with the desire to help the community and the public, and it is most likely on us when we decide to pursue these careers, right? So I'll have to say that since I was a kid, I always liked to be in uniform, and I wanted to go into the military, be in the Air Force and stuff like that. But eventually, when you start growing up and then you start defining what is it that you really want to do for your life, that's when you kind of start finding that passion for what you are seeking. And I have to say, it was probably good 25 years ago when I find out that this is what I want to do, and I start preparing myself to achieve that. I have the opportunity to be in many sectors, the private sector, the military, and now the government and municipality, and I have enjoyed it. And every single sector where I have worked for it had allowed me to achieve where I am right now. So it's been a long time.
I just want to say that I really love the way you described how you came to this realization, because as somebody who sits on the education committee in the legislature, a lot of times people ask, what are you going to be? How do you come to those conclusions? And I think that was a great explanation.
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to ask him one thing now before you take over, Susan, and that is that you mentioned the military. So,
yes.
I'm a veteran, so yeah. I'm always interested in knowing about your military.
So I have to say that I didn't serve here, meaning in this country. For those that don't know me, I'm originally from Colombia. I was born and I came here when I was a little, but not that little. So I did serve back in Colombia. I did attend something that is equivalent to the West Point here in the United States. It is the Academy to Build Officers for the Army. But then, life situations change, and then we immigrate to the United States with my family. And since then I try to find my passion for it. But guess what? I do have, and I'm going to reveal some personal information here. I have a 24-year-old who actually did join the military, and he served on the Air Force at the Langley Air Base in Virginia.
Sure.
So he finished his 4-year contract, and he decided to stay down there. So it's been on our family, be part of the military or law enforcement, or that community desire that will bring us to help, the best way we can.
Yeah, I was drafted into the military in the 60s, and I wasn't too keen on doing it. But I'll tell you what, it did turn my life around. It made me think about a lot of things. It made me become more of an adult, let's say. Mm-hmm. And it was after that I went to college and to law school. And I credit my time in the military developing, a lot of self-discipline that I didn't have coming out of high school. And so I value my military years very, very much. So you you started your. Did you? Were you? When did you start with the Willimantic Police Department?
I started in February 19 of 2009. I joined the Willimantic Police Department. I got hired with two other officers around that time, Chief Lisa, and at that point Captain Spinner gave me the opportunity to attend the academy, and I was so happy. I remember the day that I received that call from Captain Spinner saying, do you still want to go to the academy? And I say, of course, because back in that time it was very difficult to become an officer. I was in the process with other municipalities, and everybody had the desire to be in law enforcement. Everybody had the desire to be a police officer. So I was honestly competing for one or two positions against 100 and 115 candidates. I always made it to the top, but for some reason, obviously, they ended up picking somebody else. But when, so I have to say, and I always been clear, even with the new hires that we have in our department, I have to say I didn't choose Willimantic. Willimantic chose me, and that's why I love this community. I love this department, and I remain so loyal for it because after I got my certification, I have the opportunity to go to other departments, and I say no, I'm grateful and I'm loyal and I'm going to stay here. And since then, it has been 17 years almost.
Wow.
Since that
Yes,
time.
it has. I guess you started at the same time I started in the legislature
Oh,
because I
so-
started in 2009. And I love the way that you speak of Willimantic because I think that is, we're a very unusual community, I think.
Yes.
And the way the town is configured is very unusual as well. So it's great that you love the community like you do. And I just, tell us a little bit about maybe some of your prior experiences in other communities and compare them with Willimantic and a little bit of the differences.
So, if we're gonna refer to my work history, I have to say that Willimantic probably has been the smallest agency that I have been. As I mentioned before, I was part of the military, obviously a huge organization, even though that it was in a different country. And then when I moved here, I had the opportunity to work for Pfizer for almost 6 years as a consultant, and again another big agency for call it like that holds thousands of employees. And then after that, I start finding my path. That's when I say I think I want to be a police officer. I think that is what is calling me right now. So I start like applying, but again, back in that time, it was very difficult because everybody wants to be an officer. So I start to will be to achieve that goal. So I did win, and I applied for the Department of Corrections, and I got hired, and I was serving as a correction officer with your CI facility in Ionic, the female prison. And while I was there, I continued, trying to seek new endeavors, and that's when Willimantic chose me, and since then I've been here. So yes, that's what I say, that I have been in the private sector and government and military sector, who have given me the experience to do what I'm doing right now.
One more follow-up question, and that is, here in Willimantic, it's a little bit different because we have a university, we have hospital, we have 3 homeless shelters. We have a lot of things here that other communities don't necessarily have. Even with Niantic, they have the women's prison there, but they don't have a lot of the kinds of services we provide
Definitely
here.
they don't.
And so that leads me to, the idea that one of the things that we've been trying to do here is make sure that we have access to people that specialize in behavioral health services. I just wondered, if you wanted to give us a little bit of information. We can get into that in more detail, but I just wondered, in terms of your overall knowledge, how that works for you.
Yeah, we obviously work very close with many members in the community for different reasons, and that is one of those, right? If we refer back in time, we have. I don't want to speak in past because I think that we presently still have what we call a social worker program, right? And and unfortunately, we lose our social worker because she was seeking different or other endeavors in other municipalities. But we believe in that because it is a great help. Sometimes police officers, we don't have those skills required to deal with with people that basically have this. I don't want to call it disabilities, but these problems, right, of behavior, and we need people like her to help us out. She did a great job for us, and right now what we do is we with the help of the fire department, they do have a social worker, and he's helping us a lot to achieve these calls and help out to find the best resolution, because sometimes when people see an officer in uniforms, they already shut down,
Yes.
because for whatever experience that they might have in the past with them, and we're just there to try to reassure them that we are there to help.
Yes, and that's one other thing, and that is I was with the Autism Awareness Day, and I'm on the Select Committee for Special Education at the Capitol, and also on the Education Committee. And one of the things that we've found is that our school systems haven't really been able to address, to the extent that they should, the special needs and autism spectrum disorder population. And because of all the different things that have occurred, sometimes, unfortunately, they're misinterpreted because of their behavioral ways. And so I was really pleased to see the police here participating and actually being a part of that discussion. And I know that my co-host here, Dennis, and I were both there for that. And it was a great event, and it was really something that I think is setting an example for the rest of the state.
Absolutely. We are part of the community, and we are fully aware of what's going on, and we are trying to become better in recognizing these situations. Sometimes we're dealing with a different type of incidents that we need to step back and realize this is not what we think it is. This might be something different.
Right.
So, but that is only achievable with training.
Yes.
Because if you ask me, if I didn't have that training, I wouldn't probably be able to differentiate what I'm dealing with.
Exactly.
So,
Well, I was looking at your resume, and your educational background is very interesting, and it's very very, very, very related to police work. I mean, for the kind of work you're doing, and also for leadership. Now you started out with you got a associate's degree from Three Rivers Community College.
Yes.
And that was in criminal justice and
Yes.
leadership.
yes, so that's correct. Actually, this is a good story, because this probably is one of the reasons why I'm here as well. Back in that time when I was working for Pfizer, I went back to school to achieve an associate degree in criminal justice. One of my instructors was at that point a sergeant at the Waterford Police Department, and he has been one of the role models back in that time. Sergeant Jeffrey Nixon, who is actually a long time ago retired, kind of guide me to it, and I asked him, what does it mean to be an officer in the United States, right? What does it mean to do the job? So he said, listen. We do have in Waterford a position that is called community service officer. It is not a sworn officer, but this position works very close with officers, and you're involved with their tasks. So how about you come and apply and take that as a part time? Because as I say, at that point I was working for Pfizer, and I say, yeah, sure. Honestly, I forgot about it. So the next time I saw him in class, he approached me and said, "Do you apply for it?" I say, "Jeff, no, the reality is that I haven't." Say, "Well, the deadline is today, and I haven't seen the application." So he kind of caught me off guard, and I say, "All right, I'm gonna go to apply." So I went and applied, and I ended up having the job, and that is what actually got me through here. But yes, I did finish my associate degree with the Three Rivers Community College in Norwich, and then obviously I'm a firm believer of education and a firm believer that people need to educate themselves, and then I decided to pursue it, and that's how I ended up going to Easter where I have also where I finished my bachelor's degree in sociology. So I've been trying to don't only focus on what is the criminal side, but I want to also see what was the aspect of society. So I did finish that in sociology.
That's interesting because the woman sitting next to you also has a degree in sociology
Oh,
from
good.
Eastern.
Oh.
So you are fellow
Alma mater.
sociology graduates of Eastern State
Yes.
University.
Yes. And I just want to add to that. I went to community college too,
Yeah.
but I was thinking I'd be a physical therapist, so I have a associate's degree in biology.
Oh, awesome.
And science, and
Yes.
then I took a sociology class at Eastern. I go, oh,
Yeah.
this is great.
Interesting, huh?
Yeah. And then after that, I went to law school. So so it's all the same kind of
Yes,
idea
yes.
to make sure people are understand what's going on, and then to try and see how we can participate to make sure everybody's treated fairly in society.
Yes, absolutely.
And you also have a master's degree.
I
And
do.
your master's degree, I'm fascinated by the master's degree because of the topic. Now, from what it says on your resume, Master of Science in Cybersecurity.
Yes.
That is really
that's
something
correct.
that has become very relevant for me, and because I have to be, as a lawyer, I have to be cybersecure. And I'm not very well versed in IT because I'm a lot older than you. And I didn't have that throughout my entire life. Maybe you didn't have it through your entire life, but you had it for a long time.
Yes.
And then you became an expert in it by getting a master's degree.
Yes.
So that's very impressive to me, and I'm sure it is to Susan. So could you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, well, one of the reasons why I've been always fascinated by computers and technology and the way of how the world is evolving is so quick that
yes.
not too long ago we don't have these devices, and I'm referring to my cell phone. And technology is changing so quick, but with technology, challenges are arriving. And one of the things that really intrigued me and kind of led me to take this master's in cybersecurity is how unfortunately people with their intentions are using technology against,
Oh yes.
community, and how they take advantage of probably just, making fraud or, taking advantage of people that don't know how
I worry
how
about that
technology
all the
works.
time.
So honestly, one of the reasons that kind of not forced me, but that helped me out to make that decision was me being an officer and sometimes being able to kind of solve or help somebody who was telling me, I've been wiring money to a country, out of the United States, and there's nothing I can do now because people actually don't know how to recognize when you have a fake email or when you have some sort of a scam going on in it. So this is one of the reasons why I decided to pursue that. Most
I think
likely
that's very relevant to your work.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
To try to educate people in regards to what to do when they see something in the email that they don't understand what's going on.
Right.
I just want to ask about that because one of the things that we do at the Capitol is we're trying to figure out what to do with AI and how much control the state can have over artificial intelligence, AI.
Yeah.
And so one problem that we have, of course, is people getting scammed, like you said. There's people that are calling, especially senior citizens, and trying to get them to get that personal information. And so that is very dangerous. You never give your personal information over the phone when somebody
Absolutely.
calls you. And then the other aspect of this is if you are scammed, can and should someone go to the Willimantic Police Department if they're here in Willimantic and see if they can get that help from you to try and stop that? I know in the past that we've heard sometimes the police department has gone to the bank or gone somewhere to stop these types of scams from happening.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, they can. The short answer to that is yes, they can come and file a formal complaint with our department. Sometimes it's very difficult to try to solve these incidents. We do investigate them, but when something happens happen out of the United States, for example, it's very hard for us to prosecute those type of incidents. However, if it happens within the state, we have resources, and we try to do as much as we can to investigate the case. If the monetary value is too high, then we involve other agencies that have more resources, like the FBI. We have a case, I believe, not too long ago that working in a network with the FBI and other agencies, we were able to at least, or they were able to at least freeze all these wire transactions and trying to recoup the money. So it's very important to people to know that yes, there's something that we can do not all the time to be transparent. We can solve these crimes, because if they are abroad, it's very hard for us to track that. But mostly, I think people, if they have doubts of somebody asking them money, and before they decide to make a decision, if they want to come and consult that with us, we can tell them, no, that is a scam. Please don't do that. We're trying to educate them most likely. We're trying to be proactive and prevent that this type of incidents occur, instead of, okay, now we need to be reactive, now we need to try to investigate, when we could have prevent something like that by just educating them.
Yes, it's really quite a difficult situation.
Yeah.
This is Susan Johnson. I'm here with our police chief, Fabian Silva, and my co-host, Dennis O'Brien, and we will be right back after these messages. Hey, welcome back, everyone. This is Susan Johnson. I'm here with my co-host, Dennis O'Brien, and our very special guest this evening, Police Chief Silva, and we are here talking a little bit about AI, artificial intelligence. And this is, of course, a big deal, because that's where you're getting your spam calls from, your spam on the internet, all these people trying to take your money. And our police chief actually has a background in this area. So we were just talking about some of the things that you could do, and just to refresh where we left off. If you do get into a problem with giving your information out, and then you realize you shouldn't have, one place you can go to first is to the Willimantic Police Department.
Yes, well, based on the experience that we all have doing this job, we have encountered different type of calls, obviously, during our years of employment with the police department, and we kind of learn how to differentiate, what is a potential scam and or what is not. So my best advice for the community is, if you receive an email, or if you receive a phone call, or if you receive some sort of a text message that you believe is suspicious to you, just don't answer it. And if you have really concerns about it, I encourage you to come to the police department and speak with one of our officers. Maybe we can help you out to identify what is a scam and what is not. We can recognize when an email is a false email. And most likely we can recognize when people are just trying to make contact with you to make you withdraw money from your account, or send a wire transfer to a particular account, or make you buy like a gift card and then send in the number. So all these are scams that other people use abroad, the states, to try to defraud citizens of the community of the United States. Yeah,
thank you so much for that. I think that's a big help to people.
Well, I think your special talent in that regard is going to be more and more valuable to the community as you say, things are changing all the time.
Yes.
In that regard, with electronics and stuff like that. I'm trying to learn as much as I can, and I wish I knew what you knew. And just a small part of it, but anyway, I'm very impressed by that. I'm sure that you went through a hiring process. Chief Hussey left kind of all of a sudden, and then Deputy Chief Miller was acting chief for a while, and he's very experienced, and you were working with him since you got hired back. I think November 8th was your swearing-in day.
Yes, the swearing-in was November 8th. The ratification of the appointment was October 22nd or 24th.
Right, that was by the town council with a 16-member committee, very rigorous. How hiring process, and you ended up being selected, and that's an honor in and of itself.
Absolutely.
And really pleased to have you. And I got to know you because I work with you on the Taxing District Board of Directors, and I see you right now. It's a couple times a month.
Yes.
At least, because
Yes, that's correct.
we are very active, and already I've been learning a lot. The rest of the people on the 6-member Taxing District Board has been learning a lot from you and Chief Palmer about the police and fire departments, and we've even reached the point where we think we're capable of learning even more, and we may even want to take over the job as parking authority for the city of Willimantic. But that's another matter that I'm not going to get into right now in any detail. But we have this taxing district board that is sort of like a board of finance for the police and fire departments, and we've been working together, I think. But I'm biased, I guess, because I'm a member. But we've been working together with the Chief Silva and Chief Palmer very well, and also Deputy Chief Miller. And I think we just went through a process with the police department. This has been a tough year. We had a new town manager, and we had a difficult time with the budget from a year ago because taxes went up quite a bit. There was a lot of building done here. We had a revaluation. And fortunately, because of the great work that is being done by Chief Silva, Chief Palmer, and their departments, the budget passed. Ours was the only budget that passed when the budgets were up for referendum. So our budget has been passed, and that was with the aid, of course, of our agency, but also, because of the great reputation our police and fire departments and their chiefs, their leadership has in the community. So I'm really pleased with the result there. I'm sure you are too.
Yeah, absolutely, Dennis. This only shows the support that the community and the tax industry is bringing to public safety. It was very important for us to achieve this goal because it's not a secret that we are suffering from manpower, and this ratification of this budget, it was going to allow us to start alleviating those deficits in manpower and attract new candidates, because reality is that other municipalities were moving ahead and we were staying a little bit behind, and it's hard to compete when you don't have the tools to compete against other police departments that are attracting applicants. But thanks to you guys and the community, and this was a great effort of working together. We appreciate Mr. Westerfield, that he actually was part during our new contract negotiations, and we were able to achieve something that I think I haven't seen in many years in this community.
I think it's amazing. I think that we have a new chief of police since November 8th, a new fire chief since later than that, and a new town manager that came. You came first,
Yes.
and then he came. Bing, bing,
after.
bing. One right after the other, and you all were able to sit down and work out a budget in very difficult times that passed with the help of the taxpayers and the voters,
Absolutely.
and a little bit from our committee, and that was amazing. And at the same time, the collective bargaining agreement for police and fire, I think it's up on at the end of the fiscal year. I think it was June 30 or July 1,
Yes.
that neck of the woods.
Yes,
and
July 1.
you working very closely with the town manager,
Yes.
you and Deputy Chief Miller, and other maybe officers in the department, but were led by you, ended up negotiating a contract with the police union and getting it all done already.
Yeah, it was definitely, as I say, a collective effort between the human resources director, Paul Hongo,
Paul Hongo, right.
the union the union president, the town manager, and obviously us now on the command staff to find out, the middle ground. Because as I told the union, you guys are not going to be 100% happy with the outcome of these negotiations. I'm not going to be 100% happy of the outcome of the negotiations. But guess what? If we all compromise and we all commit to what is important, which is the community and the department, I'm satisfied if I'm happy with 80% of what I'm trying to achieve. And that's what happened. That's what happened. We put our difference aside, and then we focus on what we need to focus, which was the obviously the render the best services that we can to the community, and by that as well to recognize what the officers have been doing under these difficult times. Especially when we are very short on manpower and officers have to work double shifts and respond to emergencies. Sometimes, it's hard to be in many different places when we have different calls coming at the same time, because it's simple. We don't have the officers to respond to it. But we're working towards, this. When I took over this position, it was one of my first goals, is to basically try to get back to the same amount of officers that we have determined that we can use in our department to, render services to Willimantic, and we will achieve that, Dennis. I have a great team, have a great support for my deputy chief and my staff, which I call my lieutenants, and of course first line supervisors, sergeants, corporals, and the officers that are doing this phenomenal job for the community and making our department and making me be like honored to work for them.
I just want to ask one more question. I was so impressed with you at the last meeting. You said that despite the fact that this agreement did not generate a perfect situation for the people, the members of the union, or for the department in general, that you thought that what was worked out by all these people you mentioned, including yourself and the town manager and Paul Hongo, the human resource director, and your lieutenants and your assistant, your deputy chief, and Mike Westerfield was assigned by us to be our liaison between you all and the board of directors for the taxing district. You came up with a contract that you think is going to help generate additional recruits for the contract and over time. And one of the things that we did this year, Susan, and I because I don't talk to Susan about everything I do, nor does she talk to me about everything she does, because we're both so darn busy. But right now I want to tell you, they have no capital budget for this year. They and the fire department agreed, the leadership agreed when we put together the budget that we would forego, and this was suggested by the town manager, Robert, that there would be no capital budget for this year, and we are already beginning. Now, at the last meeting, we brought it up, but we didn't get into it in any depth, to talk about starting to plan capital budgets for the police and fire departments for next fiscal year. We're already starting to do that. We are beginning with our committee, which I think is a good thing, because our committee is much more of a full-time committee in terms of we're not all on the town council, because I was on the town council before. All the members of the taxing district board, before you became chief, were, for most of the time, were members of the town council as well. So they were busy with the town council as well, as I was for 6 years. And we weren't giving the same attention to police and fire that it deserved. And now it's getting a lot better. And I'll tell you, I welcome the cooperation that we, as the taxing district board, elected by the people, the cooperation that we have gotten from Chief Silva, Chief Palmer, the deputy chiefs, and everybody, all the officers, all the top people in the department. They have cooperated with our committee to the nth degree, and it's worked out very well. Susan, I think you had some questions.
Yeah, I just wanted to also add to the thing about the capital budget. Apparently, the town has never really had a capital budget plan. and they never have done an assessment of what we have for capital and what we have for capital needs, which I believe is what the town manager is really wanting to get a handle on. He doesn't want to just have capital proposals willy-nilly. He wants to have a real plan for what's really needed here. So I think that is great that, you're working with the town manager. I think the council's working with the town manager on these issues, and it's going to be a really good thing to see in terms of how you plan for the next 5 years, how you create funds perhaps for different things that maybe you can get bonding for, maybe you can't. But that is one of the things that I think is really good. I just wanted to touch base a little bit on the idea of, here we are, we have a lot of towns like, say, Simsbury, they have kind of a stable population, right? Here we have students coming in and out all the time. We have halfway houses, we have group homes, we have homeless shelters. So we have a lot of fluctuation in the population here all the time. And I wondered, what kind of impact does that have on the police? I often say that, in terms of our duty as a state, we have kind of shifted our duties onto the police and onto the education people, onto the teachers. And I just wondered if you had some thoughts about that.
Yeah, well, definitely, yes. We do feel, for example, the impact of when the university students come back to the city, to continue their education, because our resources sometimes get drifted to respond to calls that they are generating, because they don't all live on campus. Some of them also live surrounding the university grounds, but that also consumes resources from our police department. We do work together with other agencies, other law enforcement agencies, and we work together with Eastern as well. So one of the things that I have to say is that the university has been very supportive for dealing with incidents that are out of their campus. So if we get involved in a call that students are involved, we actually report this to the university, and they do have their disciplinary committee, and the students know that they basically, based on their actions, they can even resolve being expelled. So this is definitely something that has helped a lot to alleviate us in responding to college incidents. But we have been doing it for many years. Eastern is part of Willimantic. Is in the middle of our city, so it's basically is Willimantic. But I guess the idea is network, right? When I was being interviewed, I always say, like, I cannot do this by myself,
Right.
Susan. I can, yes, I have the title and I have the authority to make some decisions, but this has to be a collective effort with members of other agencies, with members of the community, to achieve and make our city better, from what it is now.
I'm really pleased to hear that. When I first became the rep, we weren't as coordinated as we are now with the university system.
Yes.
And so there's that. But in terms of the homeless population as well, how are we working with the group homes, with the homeless shelter,
Yes.
and that sort of thing? And
Well,
people on the riverbank.
Yes, we try to assist the best way as possible. Again, as police officers, most likely our primary task is law enforcement, correct?
Sure.
But that's why we also like to have our social workers, because when we have Emily working for us, she was able to make the connections that sometimes we cannot make. And if we find somebody who is homeless and is seeking assistance or need help with it, we were able to connect her with her, and she was able to branch that out, to whatever agencies were able to offer the resources that we didn't have, or we don't have as a police department, right? Because why? Because our primary function, yes, we work together with the community, but our primary function is just obviously public safety.
Yeah.
It is a challenge. It's always a challenge, and I recognize that sometimes it's difficult because we want to provide more than what we have. But I have a vision, and my vision is obviously to incorporate a great network where I can just pick up my phone and say, hey, I need help with this. And then there's somebody else in the other line that says, yes, I got you.
Yeah,
And the same way, if somebody needs help, they can call me at any time, and I'll be able to respond to it.
Well, we were going to ask you to make a final comment because we're running out of time, but I think that will suffice. I think you just did it.
Thank
That
you.
was fantastic.
Thank you.
And
Time
we're
went
so happy to
fast.
have you on. We want to have you come back as often as possible.
Anytime.
I think it's very important for the community to get to know you, to get to know your department. The more they know, the better. Okay, we'll be. This is Dennis O'Brien. We're here with Chief Fabian Silva. First time ever on Let's Talk About It, and he gets an A+. And we're going to have him back soon.
Absolutely.
Susan Johnson is here as well.
Thank
Matt
you.
Rupar. We're going to be back next week with another great show.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Susan.